Good evening. Welcome to the Jon Gaunt Show. The Manchester terror attack on the Jewish community. It's the only thing we can talk about tonight. Have you just watched Starmer's press conference? He made me sick. But we're going to ask you the questions, the tough questions this evening. Who is to blame for this Manchester terror attack on the Jewish community? Has Keir Starmer failed to protect British Jews? And for that matter, the rest of us, and what should happen next? If you've got an opinion, I want to hear it. Write it down in the little chat box just beneath the screen, and I will add them in to the debate as it gets going. I am raging. I've been raging all day since this first broke. I can't believe we're in this position again. And what was all those people shouting about at the conference? Free Palestine. Even our bloody Home Secretary has been on free Palestine marches, not free ones. She's been up to it. And I'm saying, and we'll talk about it as it goes on, obviously, whoever carried out the atrocity, and they still haven't given us his name, although we got his picture there behind me, whoever carried out, they're to blame fundamentally. But I think there's a lot of people in the political class who should hang their head in shame. Are you with me or are you against me? Good evening. The unthinkable has happened in Manchester. A terror attack on the Jewish community right here in Britain. But come on, let's be honest. Was it really unthinkable? Wasn't it inevitable? The Jewish community have been saying this for ages. Oh, we can't go into Manchester. We can't go into London on a Saturday because of the Palestinian mobsters. And that's what they are. I know they're not all Hamas supporters. What does our government do? Does it side with Israel, one of our biggest allies? Does it do what Donald Trump says? No. Starmer and his bunch of sixth formers side with Palestine. Oh, yeah, we're going to recognize an independent Palestine state. The fact that that independent Palestine state is run by Hamas, there's been no election for 14 years, and Hamas, like doing things like chucking gay people off buildings, doesn't seem to come into the debate. No, we stand with Palestine, said Starmer. Starmer, in my opinion, and you can tell me off if you think I'm wrong, I think he's got blood on his hands. Why did this happen? Who is to blame? And most importantly, how the hell are we going to stop it happening again? Because they're obviously in a blind panic. This wasn't a lone wolf. This isn't one person operating on their own. We've had train stations closed down. Euston was closed down with a terror alert today. We've got the SAS involved. We've got helicopters involved. This could be something really, really big. Let's cut to the spin. No more excuses about lone wolves. No soft talk about, oh, it's mental health. No kumbaya and light a fucking candle. This is serious, Keir Starmer. And I'm asking, is this on you, Keir? Have you failed to protect Britain's Jews and indeed the rest of us? So tonight, I want your views, unfiltered and live, right here, right now. Don't hold back, which I know you won't. It's good to be back, by the way. Had last night off. Let's get talking. And I thought a new way of doing this tonight, because I've been putting out quite a few tweets on this subject. And I thought, well, why don't I just read out the tweets as the intro, and you can pick up on whichever bit you want. Are you ready? So I sent this one to him 4 or 5 hours ago. Let's be clear, Keir Starmer. We don't want platitudes or you telling us not to look back in anger. I know that was Theresa May. We want you to protect us all and secure the borders and stop the boats now. I tell you what, for your own sake, Starmer, I hope that the two people that are arrested and the one they blew away. By the way, well done to the British police. And I've got to say, my commiserations and my thoughts are obviously with the Jewish community. But we do need to talk about this. So well done to the police for blowing away that arse. But what about the other two? And my point is this. If this comes down, Keir, to any connection to people coming into our country in flip-flops, men of fighting age in a raft, and we don't know that at the moment. I mean, I guess technically we can't even say it's an Islamist attack, although there we are. I would be pretty amazed if it is not, right? So you'll have to end up putting me in court for that. But my point is, if this is any way connected to illegals who have come in at Dover, and, I think it's a fair question when you consider, some of those Iranian nutcases were from there. Clearly, we haven't vetted anyone. As I keep saying, Keir, can you tell me everybody who's in the raft? Answer, no. So we don't know, do we? And it does seem odd that we know they know who he is. They say they want to be careful in case there's other houses they've got to search, which I fully understand. I'm not blaming the police. But could it be because they know the addresses already? I don't know. It's bloody worrying because they don't tell us the truth. I want your view. So then my second one to him today, Memo to Keir Starmer, no bullshit about mental health, lone wolves, or let's all sing Kumbaya and light a candle sort of narratives, please. This is on you for not protecting Jews and indeed the rest of us. Even though your wife's Jewish, you sided with the terrorists. I'm sorry, Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. Why are we siding with a country that doesn't even exist, Palestine, but is run by terrorists? I just don't get it. Maybe you think I'm being unfair. Who do you think is to blame? I'm just finding this last one for you as well. Memo to Keir Starmer, another one. No excuses, no spin. Jews are under attack. You failed. And then I did like a rhetorical one. If he wanted a bit of advice, because I thought he would. I just watched his press conference. He said, "Sweet F.A." Absolute. Apart from we're going to put armed police on every synagogue, effectively. Even though the Jewish people all day today have been saying we don't want that. We want our concerns to be dealt with. It's clear what people want. We want to, well, I'll tell you now, put it on this tweet. What could you do, Starmer? Well, you could secure the border, close the hotels, put the hotel dwellers in secure old army camps, and rip up the ECHR. But as usual, Keir, you'll do jack shit and just keep calling us far right. It's an absolute outrage what's happened today, whether you're Jewish or not, and to do it on a religious day like Yom Kippur, it's just, you know why they did that? Because I've got a friend who's a proper Orthodox Jew. Even on a Saturday, he won't pick up his phone. They don't do anything. They basically fast. And on this day, they fast. They go to the synagogue. They don't have a mobile phone with them. They don't do any work. This is their day of atonement. It's their special day. It's a bit like Christmas Day. The bastard who carried out this attack and his mates and whoever else is involved, they knew that. So they knew if they attacked a synagogue, no one would be able to ring. And if you don't believe me, look behind me. See these things behind me? That's where they've basically covered up the faces of the Jewish people looking through the window of their synagogue, their place of worship, a place that should never be under attack, a place where you should be safe and secure. That's their faces. The press have blurred them out, where I got this photo from, and rightly so, because this madman was knocking on the window with the knife after stabbing people in the car park and outside the synagogue. He wanted to get in and kill. Just put yourself in their position. And he did it deliberately because no one would be able to phone up and get the police there. Unfortunately for him, good, solid citizens, I don't know if they were Jewish or not, who were walking past, who did have a phone, phoned the coppers, and the coppers swooped. Then the SAS and the armed police. And then the armed police blew him away because they thought he had a suicide belt on, which it's now come out, it wasn't a real explosive. But who's to blame? How have we got to a situation where they've been marching, and we've had two-tier policing, haven't we? They've been marching in London and Manchester and Birmingham, even in Coventry, right? And they seem to be able to do whatever they want. And don't give me this, oh, they're not all Hamas. There's a distinction between two. They've all been on the marches. Because, you know, when it comes to Tommy Robinson's rally, when I defended that and said, look, the majority of people did nothing wrong, there were only 28 arrests. Oh, yeah, but they were on the protest. And also, so if it's not good enough for them, it's good enough for the Palestinian moronic pensioners who are getting picked up now. And let's look at what happened with Starmer last week, or this week, it seems like a month ago, with his conference. They backed. How many supportive comments have there been? How many people in the cabinet support Palestine, including our Home Secretary? Google it if you don't believe me. What is going on? And then there was this whole nonsense about Nigel Farage is a racist. So when they hammered him in that, and Lammy on it, well, what do you mean it's racist? Well, it's a racist policy. Okay, so it's a racist policy. Does that mean that Reform are racist? They didn't know how to answer the question. Does that mean that Farage is? Or how many so-called racist policies do you have to have or support for you to become a racist or a racist party? They threw around, waste this, like they always do on the left. And now they've been hoisted by their own petard. Are you with me or against me? And then Starmer does a press conference tonight where he says jack shit. And of course, the irony, he was in Copenhagen doing a conference with all the so-called world leaders, the ready and the willing, the ready and the able, sadly disabled, in my opinion, in terms of them actually doing any work. And they were discussing world terror threats. Meanwhile, we've got a guy here killing Jewish people in a synagogue. You couldn't make it up. And then he does a speech tonight that says nothing. The man has got to go. Are you with me or against me? Right, let's... Oh, Stephen Walker, you're so boring. King Charles should dissolve Parliament and Labour because Labour are not fit to govern. Stephen, he's not going to do that. It would be the end of our country if he got himself involved in the politics like that. I know he technically can, but you going on about it, it's boring. Do you understand? Just leave it. Think of another thing to say. You've been saying that for days and it ain't going to happen. I'm sorry to have a go at you, but you deserve it. There are two types of enemies in this country, says Graham Hatton on Facebook. One was invited in and one was voted in. That is a superb comment. Thank you very much indeed. Craig Urquhart says it's not unthinkable. You're right, Craig. Thank you for that. John Summons says, hi, John. Yeah, make a comment. Don't just say hi. I can say hi to you. I'm reminding myself of Mike Dickin. You know when people used to say to Mike Dickin, how are you? And he said, my health is not in question. It's an irrelevance. Just get to your point. Evening all, says Digital Corals. It's a very dangerous political ideology. Yes, it is on Starmer, says Sue Wright. Well, that's the point I'm making. It's on Starmer and this lousy Labour government. Don't get me wrong. Rishi Sunak, the Lettuce, Liz Truss, and Boris Johnson were just as bad. They all allowed these demonstrations to happen. They've all allowed people to come into this country and not fit in. I used to say when I was on talk radio, fit in or ship out. That doesn't mean you have to forget your religion. That doesn't mean you have to become, like all of us already who are here. But it does mean you have to live by the laws. Doesn't mean you can't have Sharia courts. We shouldn't have halal. On the same token, as you know, I don't believe we should have kosher food either in this country. I don't think we should. Or if you want it, fine. But it shouldn't be there for the rest of us who don't believe your silly religions. No disrespect. End of story. I don't think we should be having women going around looking like Daleks. I just don't think we should. And it's by doing these things and by not applying the law equally, plus the support of the lefty liberal lunatics, that some of these people think they can get away with murder. Literally. That's what's happened. And we've imported wars and conflicts that have got nothing to do with us. I don't know if you're going right back in history, or colonialism and the rest of it, but effectively has nothing to do with us. It's ludicrous what we've done. And it's got worse recently because now we're letting in loads of people in flip-flops, in dinghies, and we can't get rid of them. That's why we need positive, affirmative action, Starmer. But you haven't got any balls, so we're not going to get it with you, are we? And then the man who says he will do it, you call him a racist. I see the polls that are out today. The polls that are out today are saying that he's more popular than ever, Nigel Farage. Your speech was a disgrace. All that flag waving. You're not a patriot. You hate our flag. You hate the indigenous population of this country. You hate us. You hate our culture, our tradition, our history. And then you feel guilty about parts of it. Well, fair enough. Don't play the horsehair shirt with me, Starmer. This is on Starmer. Are you with me or are you against me? By the way, that was a blistering start, even though I say it myself. 16 minutes in. Let's start getting some donations, please. Just press the little $ and donate whatever you fancy. Alternatively, you can go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt and donate anything from $5 or upwards. And I've got some great news for you. We have now had 1.3 million views. It's going up by almost 100,000 a day. Thanks very much indeed. You're making it popular. Spread the word to all your mates and get them to donate as well. Just press that little $. Here she is, Maggie Young. I'm devastated for those poor people in Manchester. Why do people not like Jews? Well, I think most people are fine with Jews. It's just some people. I don't understand it. Apparently, there's been hate speeches in London. I didn't know this. Oh, yeah, they have. Yeah, been imams preaching hate against Jews. Not all of them. It's not every Muslim is a baddie. Every Jew's a goodie. Of course not. I did not know this. This has to stop now. Jews are leaving our country like lots of good people are doing. Well said, Maggie. Thank you very much. And by the way, play up Sky Blues. Seems almost wrong to talk about the football, but 4-0 against the Millwall. Absolutely brilliant. 32 likes. That's looking good. Tensions have risen over the 65,000 mistakes Israel have made in Gaza. What's that about? Oh, are you trying to suggest that the genocide is happening? You believe the Hamas propaganda, do you, Craig? You actually believe that? I'm not saying what Israel has done right, but I will tell you there's a difference between Israel and a Jewish person. Did you not know that? Or do you think, because what the Israeli government's done, even if it's wrong, or even if it's propaganda, or even if it's not, even if it's deadly accurate, you think that Jewish people in Manchester should get stabbed to death when they're at church? Is that what you think, Craig? Because if you do, you disgust me. Fuck off and listen to James O'Brien. Russell Garstung, yes, it's on Starmer. Thank you for your comments. He's a regular listener. That lad, what he was, Craig. I don't think he will be anymore, unless he's realised he's made a mistake, what he said. This area that happened, they live side by side, but they live the British life. No flags flying, picking sides like the CUNTS. Don't use that word on my programme. Who support Palestine and have never seen you've used the word again. Don't use it, Jay. Blood on Labour hands. So I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but don't use the C word. I think it's a disgraceful, disgusting word, and it defeats your argument. Get the Navy involved. We're being invaded by unknown people. It's a bit late now, Tony Davis on Facebook. They're already here, aren't they? Anybody else want to? There's loads of comments, but let's have other angles on this. Is it Starmer, or is that too simplistic? And how are we going to stop it? Because he didn't say anything tonight. He said, what he said was, we're going to wrap our arms around you. He's like a truly liberal, naff curate in a village church, isn't he? We're going to wrap our arms around you. They don't want that. Jewish people just want to live in peace, worship their God, do what they want to do, live their lives and be successful. But you've not protected them. Meanwhile, You're spending all this time trying to work out what Islamophobia is. I'll tell you what it is. Bullshit is what it is. End of story. Let's move on. Of course, people shouldn't get picked on because of their religion. I agree with that entirely. But we are allowed to talk about aspects of every religion in this country. We don't have a blasphemy law. Just like we should have one law for all, but we haven't quite got that, have we, two-tier here? Oh, I'm going to blow a fuse in a minute. Denise Deacon, make some sense, please. I don't know how Starmer has the front to come out and condemn what has happened today. Him and his government have allowed it to happen. That's an interesting angle. With their rhetoric, allowing pro-Palestine propaganda on the streets every week. Jewish people have been let down massively in this country. They've lived here peacefully for many, many years, but are facing anti-Semitism every day. I like your style, Denise. That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, how dare he show his face? But there's been worse ones than that. Zara Sultana, the MP for Fossil Road in Coventry and Gaza, she's turned around and condemned it. Jeremy Corbyn. It's like, hold on a minute. You can't have it both ways. Or am I being unfair? John, how many CC? What's that mean? How many CC? What are you on about, John Godley? I haven't got a clue what you're on about. Stuart Lowe, the boats won't stop. The terror won't stop. Oh, well, let's all just commit suicide then, shall we, Stuart? Come on. Let's have some positivity. We can get out of this. Just need a better government. Darren Cummings, evening, John. Changing the subject. You've really picked the wrong day to say this if you don't want a mouthful off me, Darren. Coventry were lucky last night against the mighty Lions. We won 4-0. And I don't mind mentioning the football, but I'd rather talk about something really important, like the murder of innocent people by some nutcase. Yeah? So, Darren, thank you. But if you're a Millwall fan, you just prove what I always thought. You're thick. Dan Spinks. He tried to sound like Winston Churchill when he announced recognising Palestine as a state. You're right. He huffed and he puffed. He waited until Donald Trump was well out of the country, and then he made his big announcement, we're recognising it as a state. But you remember, this is Lammy, when he was Foreign Secretary, in between gorging himself to death on Jaffa cakes or biscuits. $7,500 he spent on biscuits for one meeting alone. And did you see that fat, chuffing idiot? He was dressed up as, he's become like the Attorney General. So there's pictures of him all over the internet with the wig on and the rest of it. And then people are going, oh, it's great. He's the first black, whatever it is. Yeah, Attorney General. It's like, well, if you have to mention he's black, aren't you being racist? It's great that black people can get on and Asian people and all the rest of it. Of course it is. But you liberals, you love making the point, don't you? Anyway, what did Starmer expect when he decided to recognise Palestine, says Emma Rees-Taylor. He's given carte blanche to this sort of attack. Yeah, I think there'll be many, many more. I think you're right, Emma. By the way, we're getting hundreds of likes, over 40 likes as well, hundreds of watchers and listeners tonight. Could be a world record. So if you're new to the show, thank you and welcome. My name's Jon Gaunt. I'm a has-been. I used to be on the radio years ago, and I was pretty good at it. But there's been a whole load of things happening in between. So now I'm doing these podcasts, which are going quite well. So thank you for supporting me. But if you really want to know what I'm up to and when I'm up to it, join Jon Gaunt TV, right? You just go to Jon Gaunt TV on YouTube and press the button that says subscribe. It'll be on your screen at the moment if you're watching for the first time on YouTube. It doesn't cost anything. It says subscribe. You don't pay. It's free. But then you'll always know when I'm doing another broadcast. Plus, you can watch or listen to the whole archive. And there's hundreds and hundreds of a few hundred videos there now. So if you want to do that, feel free. But if you want to donate and help me fund these, I've got no funding, you can just click that little $sign and donate a few quid. I'm sure you can afford it. Or, and I'd be really grateful for it, or go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt and, well, buy me a coffee or beer. They're £5 each. Have a go. It's not a real coffee, if you understand. Starmer is in Denmark. He had a Cobra meeting, and that's all. Lessons will be learned. You're absolutely right, Michael. This will never happen again. He's just dreadful, isn't he? He's just awful. Maggie Young, Jews are scared to go into town centres. So are most of my family and friends, scared to go into our city centre. My country is a complete and utter mess. Yeah, but to be fair, Maggie, that's not just based on him, is it, Starmer? Rishi Sunak was useless. Boris Johnson, it's been 14 or 15 years of decline. I want to be fair about this. They effectively don't care about you, Maggie. You got that? They don't care. They just don't care. They're all self-serving pigs with their snouts in the trough. Oink, oink. Starmer's speech today was an absolute wet lettuce. Embarrassing, says Richard Pope. Resign now. Now, that's what I call a good comment. Thank you, Richard. Succinct, to the point, and making a very valid contribution. Thank you for doing so. Jim Bob says, you'd think Starmer is tone deaf, but I think it's all by design. Any other walk of life, you'd be out on your ear with a tenth of what the mess that they've all made. His words are inflammatory, 100%. Well, I certainly think he was inflammatory about Nigel Farage, and I think it was perfectly right that Nigel and his chairman, Yusuf, basically said, you've put a target on his back, and if anything happens to Nigel, we're going to hold you personally responsible. What's interesting on that, on Twitter or X, is where all the lefties are going, oh, he's a crybaby. I thought he believed in free speech, including that Joe, who I can't bear this bloke, Joe Cox's husband, right? He's all over Twitter yesterday and today saying Farage needs to man up and all the rest of it. You'd think you'd know better as your wife died at the hands of an extremist. But no, because Nigel Farage, in your worldview, a bit like Starmer, is beneath contempt. So his life is worth less than everybody. It's the same two-tier Keir thinking of the world. And then after I put up my thing about Kumbaya, this idiot, who was Joe Cox's husband, he's put up a tweet tonight saying, oh, at 7 o'clock, it's the end of their religious festival. Let's flood Twitter and X and Facebook with supportive measures and messages for our Jewish friends. What are you? Fuck off. You idiot. Go and sing Kumbaya. Let's light a candle. It won't make a blind bit of difference. We need to close the borders. We need the Navy in the channel. We need the army on the beach. And we need people to fit in or ship out. Stick that up your liberal jacksie and chew on it. Sorry, lost my temper a little bit there. Just got over 300 on the YouTube. That's good. How many Muslim leaders will come out to disassociate themselves with this attack? To say it has got nothing to do with Islam, I wonder, says August Moore. Well, at the moment, we don't know if it is to do with Islam. I think we can take an educated guess, but we don't know. And I would hope that a lot of them will condemn it. I heard a great guy today on Martin Daubney's show on GB News. He was a Muslim against anti-Semites. He was brilliant. He made complete sense. And, of course, there's Taj Haji, who's the imam in Oxford. I was the first person ever to put him on national radio. He's on all the time now with other people. But anyway, I put him on. And he's got a well-balanced view. He says, look, I'm a Muslim, but this has got nothing to do with my religion. These people are fanatics. And I think that's a fair point. And that's why I say it isn't about let's deport every Muslim. It's just let's get rid of all the people who don't believe in our way of life or actually hate it. That seems reasonable. Roseth22, this is unbelievable. You are right. Philip Derry, it's only the start. Philip, I hate to say this. I think you're right. And it worries me sick. Hold on a minute, everyone. I told you, didn't I? I'm becoming a wimp. I used to say people who have hay fever are wimps. But as I've got older, I've started to get it. Anyway, Philip, thank you for your comment. Anybody going to contribute? 55 likes, but nobody's put their hand in their pocket. What's up with you? Come on, help me out. The BBC, during their report of the attack, chose to state that the attack wasn't as bad as the mosque attack from a while ago. What is the irrelevance? How low can they stoop? Did they actually do that, Dave? I agree with you if they did. That is an absolute disgrace. Terror is terror is terror. We're not going to have a bit like Harry Enfield. Oh, I'm considerably richer than thou. death is death. No, it's not the way to look at it. The way to look at it is, why have we got this cancer in our society, and let's cut it out. That bloke on the Carry On Doctor series, Justice somebody, he was great, wasn't he? Right, let's move on. Carl Eves, he says, I am incandescent with rage, John. Not only with this scumbag who did this, but also with Starmer and his bunch of merry men and women. I absolutely hate them. All their words are hollow, and they are liars. Thank you for your comment, Carl. And I can't argue with it, that's for sure. I can't argue with it. If you're just joining in and you're wondering what we're talking about, there's only one subject in today. It's the Manchester terror attack and an attack on Jewish people. It's just terrible. And also, Starmer was warned this was going to happen. Why hasn't he protected the Jews before? And is it just me? It seems to me that you can't insult Islam and you can't say anything about that or protest against it like Tommy Robinson did. But because they'll have you, and they'll have you in prison, whereas the Jews get no protection. I just don't get it. I've worked with loads of Jewish people, and of course Lance Foreman, who I've had on here as a guest of mine. Fine, no problem. I don't agree with their religion. I don't believe in their religion. I haven't got a problem with them practicing it, though. Have you? And I hate all this thing about, the Jews, the Zionists, they do. I hate all that. And the Israeli government, I don't really always support them, although recently I can understand why they're mightily pissed off. October the 7th, ring any bells? 2 years ago, kids like my daughters at a music festival, I went to see my daughter last night, by the way, at a music festival, killed, raped, breasts cut off, held hostage. And some of those hostages haven't even come home yet. I can understand why Israel may be just a little bit pissed. John, my history is lacking. I just don't understand why some people don't like Jews. I don't get it. Innocent people lost their lives today because of their religion. The government need to be honest and tell us who is responsible as soon as they know. How much worse can it get? It's worrying times. I had that opinion earlier today. Then I heard that copper on the telly, and I thought, well, I can see your point. Retired copper, Peter Blexley. I think I was the first one ever to interview him. He thinks he's a big media star now. Good luck to him. But now I'm beginning to smell a rat. 2 other people arrested a couple of streets away. And the one who's been blown away. I just hope they're not flip-flop boys. For your sake, Starmer, it just seems odd. I'm not saying they are. I don't know. But by now, and if they have released it, if anybody's watching the news, I haven't got a telly here, just let me know while I'm on air, because I'd like to say what his name was and what's his affiliation, or as a terrorist group accepted it. But like I say, this ain't a lone wolf. He's obviously had help. And the fact they brought the SAS in, and they're actually saying that, and also the fact that they had an armed response unit there that quick, I just smell a bit, it just, to me, and I've been in this kind of game, breaking news, as you know, for years and years, it all just seems just a little bit odd. I just want clarity. We're not going to get that, obviously, from Starmer, but if you hear anything, let me know. Not gossip. Sad day. When will this nightmare end, says Ian Steele. It'll end, Ian, when we secure our borders, we kick out people who shouldn't be here, when we don't let people land in flip-flops, when we don't give them all the benefits in the world, even though they've not paid anything in, when we put the Navy in the Channel, Army on the beach, and when we don't give them squeezy soap in 4-star Hilton hotels. That would be a beginning. I'm not saying the bloke who did this atrocity today is an illegal who's coming in about. I don't know. I just find it odd. That's all I'm saying. If you want to comment, feel free. And if you want to donate, who wants to be the first to get their name on the roll of honor today? Just press that little $sign. Donate anything you want. Quid, 2 quid, 10 quid, 50 quid, 100 quid, whatever you fancy, to keep these going. Because I might end up, well, we'll see. David KT, why are we importing wars? I think that's a really good point. Yeah, why are we importing wars? Makes no sense, does it? Makes no sense. How right was Trump on his visit, says Philip Derry. Well, he was absolutely right, wasn't he? That's why they don't like him. And all the liberals don't like him. And now, have you noticed most of the liberals have gone quiet today? Let's work out what's going on next. Craig Marston. Oh, Craig. Hi, John. I think Labour is to blame with what was said by them. Well, I think what they said this week, wasn't it? About Farage was a disgrace. I said to Lisa, I think somebody might have a pop at him. I told you that story when I met him in Blackpool or somewhere. We're doing some kind of conference with him, and I met him in the lobby, and he was as white as a sheet. I said, "What's up with you?" He said, "I've just had a death threat," and I laughed. And I said, "Oh, well, we could use that for publicity." And he said, "No, I don't want to do that." He was absolutely terrified. I don't know. I've never been in that situation. But Starmer basically, Lammy should have lost his job over what he said, not being made Attorney General, whatever he's been made, in charge of law. He called Nigel Farage a Nazi, a real Nazi. Said he was in the Hitler Youth, which of course he wasn't because it doesn't technically work. And they obviously got on the blower to him. And then Keir Starmer was done. And then he came on and, well, he didn't apologise, but I'd like to clarify my position. I bet Lammy. New pair of underpants, was it? Jim Garfield. How long before the copper who shot the subject, in inverted commas, is up on a charge for unlawful use of force? Now that we know the vest was not viable. Yeah, that's you're a cynic, but I like your style because I think you might be right and it'd be awful. The line will be that the terrorist was denied a fair trial. Oh, didums, Jim. But yeah, you're right. That'll happen. That will happen. Cragg says, "Hi, John. I think Labour are to blame, not just Starmer, after what was said at the Labour conference." Good point indeed. And Niven Casey. "Hi, John. When Mohammed made us... When Mahmood, that's our new Home Secretary, made her speech about feeling the country is back in the 70s because of the Raise the Flags campaign, she conveniently didn't mention the Jewish community feels we're back in 1930s Germany." Well said, Niven. That's a brilliant point. All of that condemnation and all that nonsense this week, about Farage and the rise of the far right, they never mentioned the rise of anti-Semitism, do they? I just find it incredible. And it's always liberals. How can liberals, who are meant to be kind and caring and wanting an equal society, be so horrid to Jewish people, who, as a religion, went through the biggest genocide in history? I just find that incredible. Don't get me wrong. I know some Jewish people, I can't bear them. But I know some people who have no religion. I can't bear them either. In fact, I can't bear most people. Lily, I heard a Jewish lady on a radio show saying she'd feel safer in Israel. Yeah. Well, a lot of them have actually gone to Russia. It is echoes of the Second World War. Question: if we could take a pill tonight and wake up in the morning, if you could take a pill tonight and wake up in the morning and Islam never existed, would you take it? No, because when you look back at Islam and their art and their culture, it's incredible. And real Muslims like Taj Haji, they do so much for charity. I've got a mate who runs a few curry houses in Coventry. He's always doing something for charity. He's a good bloke. So it's not, you got to be careful. I don't think the enemy is Muslims. The enemy is the nutcases, the fanatics. Hi, John. Starmer's wife is Jewish and his kids have Jewish blood too. Will he stand behind them when the time comes? I don't know. I just think, well, he changes his mind like probably more times than he changes his underpants. Do you know what I mean? Starmer is now just gone so far, I almost can't be bothered to slag him off anymore. See, Diane Heaton says we need Islam out of our country. Well, I don't think that's necessarily true. Don't you like having a curry? Have you not got any Muslim doctors? We've got loads of Muslim doctors in Coventry who came from Pakistan in the 60s. Our health service would have collapsed without them. That's one bit that is true. But we can't blame all Muslims, can we? Anyway, that's a bit of a side issue, Dan. I don't really want to get into that debate tonight. We can another time. But I really want to focus on the real enemy. And he lives at number 10, Downing Street. Craig Urquhart, oh, he's come back. No, I don't, but think that, John. But the scumbags that did it will believe it. Sorry, it sounded that way. If I sounded that way. Well, Craig, that's where you got to be careful what you write. I know I can wind you up, but please be careful because you're a good man. So we're equal now. Starmer's speech, not one word about Islamic extremism. No, he didn't say that. You're right. And that they will face the full force of the law when it's discovered. Remember Southport. Well, he wasn't an Islamist, was he? But anyway, I take your point. Islamic vote comes first. Now, that's the end point there, David, is really good. How much of all this pussyfooting around and treating them with kid gloves is because they're worried about the Muslim vote, which is racist, of course. We've got to look after the Muslims because Jess Phillips might lose her job. Is that why they dragged their feet about a national inquiry? Did you see the news yesterday about those filthy rapists up north again? When that girl who'd got raped from the age of 12, was it? Unbelievable. But people just turned a blind eye on. Coppers, social workers, just left them. And it's just, is it because of the vote? I don't know. Let's have your views. I've just done that one. Thank you, David. Somebody's reposted the stream. Thank you. The La Terelia, 1957. I hope I pronounced the name right. And it's got the Jewish flag there. Good on you. London Bridge attack. Fishmongers Hall attack. Manchester Arena attack. Children blown up. Nothing changes. And nothing will ever change under Labour, says Michael. I think you're right, Michael. Yeah, they had all that kumbaya, didn't they? Light a candle. Don't get angry. Don't look back in. I said at the time, that's bullshit. If I'd lost my kid in that, or even if my kid had been there and not injured or died, I would be looking back in anger. I bloody would. They always seem to side with the perpetrator. I don't understand it. And, and that was under a different government. It's that's what I'm trying to get at tonight. It's that whole political class. That they do in that area. If there's no problem, how come Starmer comes out with, we will send police to the synagogue, but not a mosque? That statement says all you need to know. No backlash, just hate from the deluded Palestine fans. Jay, you're partly right there. He didn't actually say what you've said. He did say we will send in protection and extra policing around synagogues. He didn't say, but not mosques, because he's already put them around mosques. That happened after Southport. Don't you remember? Immediately after Southport, when a few people started to throw rocks at the police, then he gave the Muslims more support, which was right, because that was a riot situation. And then he called us all far right. Do you remember that? But with the Jewish people, 2 people had to lose their lives. And there's a chance there's 4 other people seriously injured as well. And I think people who have been cynical about the poor old copper who pulled the trigger, will he be up on a charge? Well, there's every likelihood, yes. David Deacon, his speech, Starmer, this is, not one word about Islamic extremism. Again, the vote comes first. I think you're right. And that's terrifying, isn't it? That is terrifying. Because one community can't come above another community. That's wrong. We're all being fair and egalitarian and equal rights and all the rest of it, all of which I agree with. But there are mad things in this country. The amount we spend on translators, people never even bother learning the language. Taxes for people to go and get a wig fitted or go to the doctors. And when poor Ryland basically says that on telly, they try to ruin his career. And we can't keep having these people. Do you know, since during the Labour conference and up till today, it's nearly 2,000 more people have arrived in flip-flops. Men of fighting age. And I'm beginning to get worried about that. I don't know about you. Graham Hatton, it sticks in my throat to say it. I can almost hear all the politicians' sound bites now. Lessons must be learned. We are steadfast in our unity. Yeah, this is all the crap they come out with. Well done, Graham. Graham Hatton. We must not let this divide us. Yeah, well, he said that in his speech, didn't he? Let's choose hope. That's the patriotic way. Don't let people divide us, i.e. Farage. Farage is the devil. Farage. is Hitler, Farage is Kim Rongan, Farage is the panto villain. It's all bullshit. And we, the British people, have seen through it, Starmer, but you're so thick you haven't realised. Kevin Cunning, you top man. He's just put in a fiver, $4.99, a super sticker. Thank you very much. He's done it by just clicking that little dollar sign. He's the first one tonight, and he's an absolute superstar. I'm sure when I finish and go on to buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt, people have donated there as well. We'll see. Sometimes I work harder than other days, right? And it's a really great subject, and we don't get any donation. I don't understand it myself. But Kevin, thank you for your donation. David KT, Christianity is under threat in all its forms. The Crusades are now at home. That's not a bad point, is it? You know what I mean? Brilliant, John, says Den Spinks. Well, what's brilliant? Everything. I agree with Denise Deacon. He's emboldened them by appeasing Hamas. As a result, now their followers think they can do whatever they want in their name under the guise of sticking up for the Palestinian people. Annette, I agree with you. That's a very good observation. That was on Facebook. Gavin Cardy, he's an old listener. Palestinian marchers are out in force in Manchester right now. I can sympathise with the cause, but not the timing. Yeah, you're right. They're having a demo at the train station or something, aren't they? You'd think they'd cancel it just out of respect, wouldn't you? But no. Be kind. Be kind. This is what globalize the intifada looks like. Yeah, that's one of the chants, isn't it? Thank you for that. Maggie Young has put a little emoji of somebody crying. What's that about, babes? Paul Jones, interested to know who did it. All just assuming at the moment. Well, what else can we do? What did his own terrorist say during Southport? You leave an information vacuum, people will fill it. I understand why today, during the day, if they didn't know, or they knew who he was, but there's a reason. I'm just wondering if that reason is anything to do with flip-flops, Paul. But we don't know. We don't know. But if those guys, the two they've arrested and the one they blew away, if there's any connection to the small boats invasion, then Starmer's in a lot of problems. Where are we going next? I will be doing a show tomorrow, but it'll be during the day, and obviously I'll do one on Sunday. And thanks for letting me have a night off last night. I had a lovely time with my daughter. Laughed like I haven't laughed for ages. I don't see tensions rising for all the Christians murdered by Islamists in Nigeria, says Niven Casey. Very good point. And then he says, no Jews, no news. Niven, you're right. You're right. Starmer's words, we need to look after the Muslims. Well, where you got that quote from? But, you know, fair enough. Starmer has managed to throw women, children, and now the Jewish under the bus in their quest for votes from the Muslim community and to stay in power now and after the next election. Annette, I think you're correct. Rob Fox, it's ironic that the name Hitler came up. Listen to any of Hitler's speeches from the 30s and then listen to Starmer's rant about Farage, says Rob Fox on YouTube yesterday, and you realise they're not very much different. No, and all that flag waving, especially when he said, Rob, keep waving your flags, keep waving your flags. He's the plastic patriot. He doesn't believe in our flag. He doesn't believe in our country. The man's a charlatan. Starmer, that is. Emma Louise Bauer, evening, John. Evening, Emma. Thank you. It'll be interesting to see how they deal with the press releases this time, says Seaside Amar. Yeah. What will they tell the press to say about this? The lamestream press? I don't know. And did you see he did a whole load of interviews? Was that today or yesterday? With different of the mainstream newscaster. I think he is finished, by the way. I can't see him coming back. I think he's lost the dressing room. Do you think we should report Starmer and Lammy to the police for hate speech? That would be funny. Thank you for that. I think some barrister has done it. Margaret Westwood says, Lammy to be your lord. Well, I was surprised that didn't happen when he sacked him, to be honest, but he made him deputy PM, didn't he? What about cutting Farage's security by 75%? What the hell are they doing? Well, to be fair, technically, that isn't Starmer who's done it, but he would have been aware of it. So he hasn't got as much security as he had before. Some idiot said to me, well, why does he need all that security? What about the Green guy? He's got as many MPs. Or what about the Lib Dems? Well, no one who knows who the leader of the Lib Dem is to shoot anyway, and he never says anything that would make you that angry that you do it. And the leader of the Greens, well, he's just an arsehole, and he's just a nutcase. The woman who used to be in charge was much better than him. He's what do you call it? A cartoon commie, isn't he? Huh? He's like Wolfie Smith. I can't take him seriously. I can't. John, I wouldn't want to be a Jew in the United Kingdom today. It's as if they don't count. By the way, I've just sent you a drink. Yeah, I did mention it, Kevin. Thank you very much indeed. Kevin Cunning. I did wonder if anybody else was going to join us in the boozer this evening, but not by the look of it. John Summon, I've already answered that question. Starmer's like a fly in the winter. The steaming dog poo. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. John, Islam is the problem. You're going to have to face it someday. No, I don't think it is. I think it's a ridiculous religion. I'm not into it at all. But if somebody wants to practice that religion and they do good, what's the problem? Why are you getting worked up about it? It isn't Islam. It's the interpretation of it by certain people. John, you have to say you're sorry. You was only telling the truth. You don't have to say you're sorry. You was only telling the truth about Joe Cox's husband. Well, I could tell you a lot more about Joe Cox's husband, but out of respect for the woman who died, I'm not going to say it. But if you just Google his name, you can find out everything you want to do. Brendan Cox, his name is. We need Farage more than anything now, says Philip Derry. I think I agree with you. Oh, God, what's going on here? Someone's just whacked in a tenner. It's Jim Garfield on YouTube. John, looking at a photo of the synagogue from 2008, it had a small fence and gates. Fast forward to 2025 today, it looks like a maximum security prison. High fencing, CCTV cameras. It's so sad. And that's Britain today. Do you know what I'm going to say there? First of all, Jim, thank you for your donation. You donated before and you're very generous. Thank you very much indeed. Lisa will be your best mate. She'll put it on the audit sheet tomorrow. But you're right about the fencing around the mosque, around the synagogue. But mosques have had to do that as well. It's ridiculous that we have to have burglar alarms on churches and synagogues, and we have to have all this protection in. Just like it's outrageous that we've got to teach kids about lockdown in case a terrorist attacks. But that's a pervert. That's the world we're living in, and it's a terrible world, Jim, isn't it? But thank you for your comments. Where's next? Hula hoop. The Labour Muslim Party are infested with Jew-hating, demonic, vile, rancid bastards. Whatever you do, hula hoop, get off that fence and say what you mean. John, you would think Starmer, and then it disappears. Craig Urquhart, I'm with you, John. The amount of young guys coming in without families stinks a bit. It certainly does. Although I realised the other day, maybe the reason they come on their own, is because once they get the right to stay, they can then bring their family in, can't they? And there's no limit to how many. That's why that ex-Taliban commander, did you read about that in the papers? He's bringing in 14 of his relatives. That's why Nigel is right to say we've got to clamp down on this. It's mad. You know, when people say, oh, well, if I was leaving my country, I'd stay and fight for it. Well, no, they've got it sussed. They get here, and then they can get their family in. Naive to think any of us Westerners are safe from a death cult. God bless the Jews, says Angela Blaney. Niven Casey makes a very good point with just 5 words. First, they came for the Jews. Craig Marson. John, you'd think he'd do whatever to protect the Jewish people, considering his family are Jewish. Well, his wife is, yeah. And he follows it, doesn't he? I think he follows... he does, because he's always said he wouldn't work on a Friday. Well, he's been a bit busy. He's had to, hasn't he? If he's a flip-flopper, they won't know who he is. Lol. That's a fair point, Craig. I missed you last night, says Den Spinks. Yeah, thank you, Den. I had to have a night off, though, because you probably know I'm really into family, and I hadn't seen my daughter for about 4 weeks. You know, it creeps up on you when you don't see them, and she makes me happy. We had a good laugh. Lammy, more like a lard. I don't understand that, Maggie, but thank you. Oh, instead of being a lord. I understand. Thank you very much indeed. If the perpetrator of this act of horror, John, is an Islamist, will we be able to talk about it? Or if that Islamophobia definition comes in? No, probably. Tanika Robinson says it's also corrupt. Not all Muslims are terrorists, but all terrorists at the moment are Muslims over the last 20 years. That's true. That's true. Well, there's been a couple, haven't there? There's the gay bloke, wasn't there? David, whatever his name, who killed lots of gay people in Soho. So there have been other people. Crag says, "Don't get me wrong, John. You get some good Muslims and some bad ones." Well, that's right. That's what I was trying to say. I'm not on to an anti-Muslim rant. I make my distinction very clear. I think all religions are nonsense, and I wouldn't fight for any religion. Right? It's all rubbish, in my opinion. But if you're deeply spiritual, got a friend who's a Buddhist, for example, and sometimes I can listen to that person and find it absolutely fascinating and want to know more. But I don't think I'll ever become one. Anyway, that's what I think. Right, we've run out of time, guys. What's the time, by the way? 19:26. I'm meant to be watching EastEnders in a minute. Thanks for joining in. Watch this space. If anything breaks about who the bloke is or what his connections are, we'll have another chat very quickly tomorrow or whatever. If not, I'll definitely be back on Sunday. I might do one on Saturday. Let's see what happens. Well done to the mighty Sky Blues. Absolutely brilliant. 4-0. I must admit, I did laugh at Danny Baker. You know, I used to work with him on BBC London all those years ago. He's a mad Millwall fan, just like his dad was. And this morning, he said, "I used to dream when I was a boy that Millwall would one day play like Manchester United." He was being sarcastic because Man United are crap at the moment, aren't they? As well. And I thought that was a good way to look at their thrashing last night. Don't worry, Danny. Coventry are going to be promoted. Automatic. You heard it here first. Automatic promotion is what I'm predicting now. That will go down with Maggie Young very well and her husband. Jackie Ward has sent me the 3 red love hearts. Thank you. And Niven wants to get a last word in. He says, "Don't forget, John, appeasement work for Neville Chamberlain. ... Not." Yeah. I can't believe that Starmer didn't make a speech with a bit more passion tonight or a bit more resolve. If I was a Jewish person, that'd be like, "Oh, I'm not voting for you now, mate." You got to get a grip. You just got to get a grip of this, because all of these things are interrelated. So close the hotels, get rid of the soap, put them in tents, put them behind barbed wire, look after them, treat them correctly, give them the choice. If they want to go now, they can. If they don't know where they're from because they lost their passport when they came across the channel, we'll send them to Estonia or we'll send them to one of our islands where we'll process them there. Get rid of the pull factor. See, because the other great idea, apart from identity cards, which you've kind of conveniently forgotten about, the other great idea was 1 in, 1 out. We've sent seven people back so far to France. 7. And about 2,000 have come in this week. I think it's 6,000. It was 6,000 last week that had come in since he decided he was doing his 1 in, 1 out. It's just ridiculous. Maggie Morley makes a really good point. Why are there thousands on the terrorist watch list and why are they still here? Get them out. You're right. It's 23,000 are on the terrorist watch list. I know. Almost speechless. Right, I'm off. Thank you for your donations. Don't forget, if you'd like to do it when I finish, go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Jon Gaunt. Alternatively, you can do it on YouTube. You know what to do there. Press the $sign. If you've been listening on a podcast, come to Jon Gaunt TV on YouTube. Subscribe. It's completely free. And then you can watch the actual video. You can watch all the past ones as well. And like I say, thank you. The views have now gone to 1.3 million. We're now got about 5,300 subscribers. That's going brilliantly as well. It really is building. And by God, do we need some independent broadcasting. I watched the BBC. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to say because it goes against all their narrative, doesn't it? Because they've got Farage is the baddie. Well, somebody else is being baddie. Somebody else being evil. Oh, no, we can't have that. Let's talk about some pensioner in Hales Owen who's got a cigarette card list from 1960. That's news. Sorry, that's the BBC. I'll never be working for them again either. Right, back tomorrow at some point, probably, definitely here on Sunday afternoon. If not, I will be with you on Monday at 6:30. Same place, same time, all the rest of it. Thanks a lot for listening. Thanks for making it successful. If you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. God, I've done an hour. And don't forget to tell them you love them. See ya.